This mini documentary is directed towards the incoming legislature. We'd like to make sure that it is clear that this should be addressed.
What do you think the government should do to help the transgender population based on your knowledge and experience?
If we're talking about the incoming government, let people live their lives. People deserve help. People deserve the treatment that they need. People deserve to live their lives how they want.
Hello, I'm Will Boesenberg.
And I'm Nick Jemison. Today we'll be exploring the human side of transgender rights, stories of families, communities, and debates that shape our community and laws. Out of the over 300 million people living in the United States, around 1% of them classify as transgender. While 1% doesn't seem like a very large number, that's 3 million people who classify as transgender.
As an example of how people's lives are affected by gender dysphoria, we'll start with a father's emotional testimony at a congressional hearing about how proposed legislation could impact his transgender daughter's future.
I remember the day everything changed for me. I'd gotten home from work and my daughter and her brother were in the front lawn. And my daughter had sneaked on one of her older sister's play dresses. And they wanted to go across the street and play with the neighbor's kids. It was time for dinner. I said, come in. She asked, can she go across the street? I said, no. She asked me if she went inside and put on boy clothes, could she then go across the street and play? And it's then that it hit me that my daughter was equating being good with being someone else. My child was miserable. I cannot overstate that. She was absolutely miserable. And so on that day, my wife and I stopped silencing our child's spirit. I now have a confident, a smiling, a happy daughter. I came here today as a parent to share my story. I need you to understand that this language, if it becomes law, will have real effects on real people. It will affect my daughter.
His words highlight a growing concern for many families, policies that affect children simply for living as their true selves.
Or the countless others like her who are out there. Let them have their childhoods. Let them be who they are.
But for some, these struggles go beyond legislation. In her book, The Transgeneration, Anne Travers describes the extraordinary steps families sometimes take to protect their children.
I'm going to read from a statement by a parent of a trans kid. The last time we flew to the United States, I watched as she came through the security sensor gate behind me. I didn't even notice that one of her fists was clenched until the guard who was waiting to wand her asked her to open her hand. When she did, she revealed a delicate, iridescent pink hair scrunchie. I realized that she was trying to find a way to hang on to herself in the face of this denial of her person. I was stunned by her ingenuity and torn up by the way she was left empty-handed. I don't tell her that security personnel might react intrusively and even aggressively if they notice she is really a boy but presenting as a girl. We might be separated and questioned about the nature of our relationship. I am her adoptive mother, and the standard of care I am providing for her. These things have happened to families that I know.
There have been debates that transgender athletes deserve the same opportunities as everyone else without discrimination. And yet, for some, fairness becomes the center of debate.
On March 17th of 2022, my teammates and I, as well as female swimmers from universities around the country, were forced to compete against biological male Leah Thomas. Thomas was allowed to compete in the women's division after competing as a member of the University of Pennsylvania's men's swim team for 3 years as Will Thomas. We watched on the side of the pool as Thomas swam to a national title in the 500 freestyle, beating out the most impressive and accomplished female swimmers in the country, including many Olympians and American record holders, by body lengths. Previously, Thomas had been ranked 462nd at best in the men's division the year prior. The next day, I raced Thomas in the 200 freestyle, which ended up in a tie. We went the exact same time down to the 100th of a second. Having only one trophy, the NCAA handed it to Thomas and told me I had to go home empty-handed. I felt betrayed. I felt belittled. I felt reduced to a photo op. But my feelings didn't matter. What mattered to the NCAA were the feelings of a biological male.
And other debates around fairness in sports bring out strong emotions on all sides. The main argument made against the inclusion of transgender athletes is that their genetics cause an unfair advantage against other competitors.
Athletes like Riley Gaines argue that inclusion shouldn't come at the cost of fairness, and with every side of an argument, there will always be another side against it.
As to everything, there is always a community that doesn't believe that transgender people should have the rights and/or treatment that they need.
These perspectives reflect a complex, evolving question. At the center of it are real people, real families, and real questions about what respect and fairness truly mean.
We've heard from parents, authors, and athletes. What's clear is that these issues aren't as simple.
Understanding different perspectives while maintaining empathy is the way we move forward as a society.
These stories remind us that behind every debate are people who are just trying to live their true lives.
Thank you for joining us. Let's continue to listen, learn, and treat each other with respect.
We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.